everyone, welcome to the show. Today is Friday, April 26th. I'm sorry I'm a day late, but boy, it's been busy here. Marc has 438 days left to go in his U.S. prison sentence, and that's the latest. The sooner, he could be home right before Christmas time this year if his transfer application gets approved by the U.S. and Canadian governments. So hopefully they do. Now, I've got a prison blog by Marc posted up on cannabisculture.com and freemarc.ca, and it's all about his prison band and recent performances and music set lists. So he also sent a bunch of photos, and I'm only going to show a couple of them here. There's about 20 of them, but there's Marc playing on his bass guitar and Terry, who's taught him a lot there with him. And then we've got 3 shots of the band actually performing, and this is once a week. They get to go into this actual studio. Now, everything in here is paid for by the inmates. It's them who pay for all of this. It's not the taxpayers. It's definitely not the prison paying to make this happen. So the inmates get to make this happen by purchasing through commissary and in different ways. And it's great that Marc has the opportunity to get in there and jam. And you can read the songs that he is performing by going to cannabisculture.com and freemarc.ca and looking at his recent blog about it. Now, of course, we just had all across the world a wonderful, fabulous 420 celebrated all across every place on earth, even people alone at home, toking in faraway little cities, celebrating their own 420 with millions of other people around the world. And Vancouver was fantastic. Best 420 ever, not a doubt about it, and at least not in my opinion. So I'm just going to put that out. That's my opinion. But boy, was it amazing. We had up to 30,000 people surrounding the art gallery in the core of downtown Vancouver. We had an enormous team of volunteers and people dedicated to make it happen. And those people are mostly here in this building working their butts off, including Marijuana Man Greg behind the camera. And Jeremiah did a ton of work, and lots of other people kicked in to make it amazing. And we have a lot of videos coming up at pot.tv documenting the day. We had music and performers and a circus performance theme. We had all sorts of speakers on all sorts of issues. And it was just a beautiful, peaceful celebration, packed with people, 100 booths, really incredible. And it just gets me emotional thinking about the people power that we've got and the incredible show of strength that these people, that's not even a fraction of people on our side. So we're winning. We are winning. We just keep having to lose little battles against an oppressive government, and that will continue. But we keep fighting, and 420 was a great demonstration around the world of peaceful people gathering together to celebrate cannabis and protest prohibition, and boy, was it awesome. My only issue with our event is that the Vancouver Sun and Province newspaper didn't print a thing. So I don't have any newspaper clippings to show you of amazing pictures of 20,000 people right in front of the front stage smoking up at once. I mean, there's amazing photos. And on that note, Jeremiah, who is down visiting Marc in Mississippi this weekend, he has tons of photos uploaded to his Facebook, and we'll get more and more shared on the front page of cannabisculture.com and pot.tv, but also at 420vancouver.com, where we'll be uploading a lot of stuff about this year's event and where you can find out about the history of the event. So 420 was awesome, but the protesting doesn't end there. Around the world, we have the Global Marijuana March, the Million Marijuana March, the Worldwide Marijuana March. There's a lot of names it goes by, but there are people really all over the world and dozens, even hundreds of countries and all over protesting and marching together. And we have a website, globalmarijuanamarch.com, used to be the central organization site. There's a bit of confusion about where to go to get all the info about the march. But if you go to cannabisculture.com, we've got a list compiled by Chris Goodwin or Jeremiah. There's a list there of all the cities that we can get info about holding their marches. And here in Vancouver, it happens at the Art Gallery. The march begins at 2. I believe it starts maybe at noon or so. I think people show up. And I haven't been to a Vancouver marijuana march in many years, to be honest. Normally Marc and I go and lead the Toronto march of 30,000 people strong marching through the streets, but there's a bit of confusion about the date it falls on, and I've got my election campaign and I've also got my dad's birthday, so the Global Marijuana March this year is kind of a challenge for me, but I know that here in Vancouver I'll be there at the Art Gallery, and we'll be bringing you guys as much info as we can about that on pot.tv and cannabisculture.com, and of course around the world, even if it's just you and 3 friends marching through the street with signs saying no prison for pot and legalize it. You're doing your part, and you're joining a group of millions of people worldwide working hard to end prohibition, to protect people. And that's coming up. I didn't even say the date, did I? That's coming up on May 4th, Saturday. It's always the first Saturday of May. And for many places, it also happens on the second weekend in May. But you can find that info out online. So take out to the streets just in next Saturday. Oh my gosh, next Saturday already. Global Marijuana March happening all over. And hopefully we'll see you here in Vancouver if you're in the Lower Mainland. Now, some great news recently. Vice has come here. I think I told you guys in a recent show or a few months ago. Vice magazine is filming a documentary called BC Bud, and it's complete and it's online, and you can see our wonderful building here and interviews with a lot of our great friends like David Malmo-Levine and Dana Larsen and Kirk Tusaw and yours truly getting in there in the video talking about prohibition and legalization and everything about the history of this place and the importance of our movement, and that's an awesome little video, so check that out. We'll be sharing it on pot.tv and cannabisculture.com, but of course it's at the Vice website as well. This place is featured in part 2. There's 3 parts, we're part 2, but the whole thing is worth watching. So check that out. Thank you, Vice, for coming here to our headquarters and getting all that footage. Now, talking about freedom and liberty and government, of course, everybody knows about the Boston situation and a lot of stuff coming out after that, and here in Canada, a foiled terrorist plot and blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of talk right now about things to be scared of, things the government is going to save us from. And I was shocked to see that here in our own beautiful province of British Columbia, we had military lockdown in Prince George recently, similar to Boston, with armed guys in military gear, with camouflage face paint, hiding under trees with guns, not letting people leave their houses or move. And it was because of a supposed drug dealer who uttered threats 2 weeks before this happened. So they said he had a gun and he'd been uttering threats, and this needed a lockdown of a neighborhood with military, police, and guns and SWAT teams and all this. And I'm all for getting bad guys, but first of all, prohibition creates drug dealers, so, you know, enforcing prohibition, you're creating that enemy. But secondly, the police state is really creeping in. And I don't think any informed people out there would object to that statement. And it just really worries me to see that. But I also know that all through mankind's history, there's always been oppression. There's always been people in power who want to control, and that's always going to continue. But we just must remain vigilant and call attention to whenever and wherever our freedoms and civil liberties are being eroded. You know, it's okay to say, yeah, we do live in probably the freest place on earth compared to most places, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't care when we start losing more freedom here. We should always be concerned about losing any freedom and about any more excessive police force and military-style tactics used against innocent Canadian people. And we must take action peacefully always to bring attention to that and warn people that it shouldn't be happening that way. We need to really talk about it, and it's getting scary sometimes, but you know, we still have fun, we still protest, we still have the right to be here and do what we do for now, as it is, hopefully for a long time. But the fight goes on, but just be vigilant, remembering that for all the victories and all the fun that we do have in our movement, there's a bigger story out there. There's a bigger fight going on for freedom overall, and we're the good guys. So remember that there's still a battle, so stay strong. But I'm doing my part in that respect by running in the election. I'm running with the BC Green Party in Vancouver West End, and I had my first debate, probably the only debate for the riding, but 5 of us candidates were there last night, and I think I did pretty well. I pointed out where the incumbent, the current MLA, was wrong about something, and he tried to spin it, and I unspun it, and everybody saw that. And I pointed out a lot of things about liberty and honesty and good government, and it was just really fantastic. I'm quite pleased. I was terrified and nervous because I can talk about pot and prohibition and freedom all I want, but you start getting into details of residential tenancy acts and that sort of stuff, and it's like, oh boy. But it's always about liberty, it's always about freedom, and I can speak to that, so I always do. And it went well, and you can check out my campaign at jodie4mla.ca. And I've been doing a lot of media recently too on that front. I did AMBC on our 24-hour news station. You can see that video up on Pot TV. I also did CKNW radio about my candidacy. And I did Shaw TV, a nice little 2-minute video speaking about why you should vote green on May 14 here in BC, and why liberty and freedom is always most important. And also I did Sun News. I was invited back to Sun TV, the conservative news network of Canada, but this time it was a different host. And the 5th time I've been on Sun News Network, and it was a fantastic, easy interview about pot and prohibition and Marc and the election, and it was great. I can't find a digital copy of that one, so you might have missed it if you didn't see it online. But I'm trying to get out there, spreading the message of freedom and truth and liberty as much as I can. And thank you to everyone out there for showing your support. And if you live in Vancouver, you can come and get a Jodie Emery election button. I have a few of those to give out and a lot more campaigning to do in the coming weeks. But let's hurry along. I've been talking nonstop. We got a bunch of giveaways as usual. The free Marc Emery prize pack, the 4 free Marc Emery stickers, the free Marc Emery button, and the free Marc Emery t-shirt. We'll be sending that out to a winner who is drawn right now from the bubble bag. Every week you send an email and I put you in the bubble bag with all the other people who enter as well. And you can get bubble bags and more at Cannabis Culture headquarters store. We have sales and all sorts of deals online at cannabisculture.com/store, and here in downtown Vancouver, our flagship activism empire. And the winner's name is Stay High. Nice name, Stay High. I would love to share the message through my videos on YouTube with winning free Marc stuff. So you get the free Marc stuff. I'll send you an email. You get the prize pack. Thanks for wanting to show your support, and thank you to everybody for your continued support, sending letters and books and everything to Marc. Please check out his blog at cannabisculture.com and freemarc.ca, and stay tuned to everything we do here, and do everything you can to fight for freedom, because really, even with every victory we're ever going to get, the fight will never end, and so we're just going to have to enjoy it and be happy warriors, as Marc would always say. So here's a smile despite the darkness, because there's always going to be good times ahead. So thanks a lot to all of you helping make that happen, and we'll see you guys next week. Free Marc Emery and no more drug war.